Welcome to the Kingdom Life podcast, where we equip ourselves with godly wisdom so that we can go into the world as kings and priests, manifesting all that the kingdom of God is.
Okay, morning everyone. All right, so today we are doing, I'm just going to do a quick recap, right, of the last time I was here. So the last time I spoke about that we are the end product, right, of our life, and God shapes us and molds us for His kingdom. Now, the problem with that is in that shaping, He's applying pressure. Sometimes He has to humble us, to soften us up, and He hardens us. So that means that it's not an easy process for the clay. So the question we're going to ask is, if life is not meant to be easy, like, is it possible for us to be happy, right? If life is not easy. So, and the way we need to look at it is we have to understand that we are created in God's image. Because we created in God's image, God is, if you look at the Trinity, there's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And collectively they act as one. Okay? So in the same way, we are created in the same manner. We are created a mind, a body, and spirit. Okay? So in looking at things, we have to look at it holistically, because generally with the church, we only look at the spirit realm. We only look at that, and we miss the psychology behind it, and we don't, and our biology, and we miss a lot of, we don't see the whole picture. The other thing is that Satan understands. He understands the way God created everything. So he twists our understanding of things so that we don't actually attain what we want. In this case, happiness. So I'm going to go through a few things in the mind, body, and spirit, if we can understand it holistically. It's not everything that we need to know, right, on this topic, but I'll try to cover a few of the main points. Okay, so the first problem that we encounter is that we have this thing where we say, when I achieve certain thing, when I have something, then I will be happy, right? It's like when I get a certain job, when I get my degree, when I get, whatever it could be, right? Whatever is in your heart, when I have that, then I will be happy. Or we say to ourselves, the reason I am not happy is because life did not go the way I thought my life would be. So we have that thought in our minds as well. And we think that the only time we'll be happy is when we get there. And the other problem is like we see the problems that we have now currently in our lives, and we think when we get to that place there won't be any problems, and that's not the case. It's like we look at other people and we think they don't have problems, but really you trade one problem for another problem. There's a guy, Tim Ferriss, he says you go from the bicycle problem to the Corolla problem to the BMW problem, like as you progress through life, to the Ferrari problem. You just end up with larger, more expensive problems, right? It's and I struggled with this. I always felt, because like when I started work, I started off as a customs clerk, driving around, dropping off documents, all that stuff, right? And doing deliveries. And I would come to the office at 1 and see people on lunch and think, and I couldn't take my lunch now because you have to pack up and go to do your rounds. So I was like, if only I could work in the office, then I would be happy, because they have a view, they have air conditioning, they get to go on lunch. Then I got into the office. Then I found I was better off on the road, because you just drop your documents. It's not that hard, right? And then when you're driving, it's like a break. No one's worrying you. The radio is on. You get stuck in traffic. Oh well, so what? It's not that big of a deal. And because now when you in the office, you're working all the time that you're working, right? They're watching you. I'm like, what is this? This is worse. And and then I was like, okay, if only I had more money, then I would be happy. And then I progressed, got paid more, still not happy. So I'm like, what is this now? Because now you get paid for more responsibility, right? Still not happy. I said, okay, I think the problem is I'm studying IT, but I'm doing clearing and forwarding. Maybe if I get into IT, then I'll be happy. Then I get into IT, still not happy, because time my day is, are you sure you restarted your computer? Why don't you restart your computer? Just try it, maybe it'll be better, and dealing with people's Outlook and email or whatever, and it's boring, and I'm like, okay, I think if I was running my own thing, then I'll be happy. worse. That was like catastrophic. Because now, as one example, right, it's the 21st. You have to pay people by the 25th. You've done the work, people haven't paid you yet. Now you're under pressure because you need to get paid. There's people relying on you to pay them, and it's like this is way worse. And one day I'm sitting and I'm thinking about all of this. I'm like, Clint, what do you want? Because you are miserable. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what I want. And that's the case for all of us because we think it's a destination. And we think we'll be happy when we get to a place and we find that it's really just more. It's more responsibility, you know? And a good passage or chapter in the Bible, book rather, Ecclesiastes. It's Solomon, right? Now Solomon, if you look at his life, he achieved far more than any of us could have in all ways. And he's in his old age, he's thinking about his life, and he has a very honest assessment, because generally we'd say, well, I had a good life. You know? And he talks about it, and he starts with meaningless, everything is meaningless, chasing after the wind. That's how he starts, right? The book. And so it's a nice book, it's nice to read the whole thing out, but I learned a lot from it, right? And it helped me. So in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verses 10 to 11, it says, I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure. My heart took delight in all my labor, and this was the reward for my toil. Yet, when I surveyed all that my hands have done, and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun. And he goes on, I'm going to show you more. And then he says in chapter 2, verses 22 to 26, what do people get for all the toil and anxious striving with which they labor under the sun? All their days, their work is grief and pain. Even at night, their minds do not rest. This too is meaningless. Okay? Then he goes on to say in chapter 3, verses 12 to 13, I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live, that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their toil. This is the gift of God. And what I gathered from that was that it's not about, happiness is not a destination, right? Happiness is a decision. You have to decide to be happy. It's a conscious decision, because misery is a choice. You can choose to be miserable. And it's about looking at your life and saying, okay, if I'm going to be at work for 8 hours, I'm going to have to find a way to enjoy myself. Yes, you have to do your work, because you find that people have a problem with it's either work or play. It can't be both, because if they're playing at work, then it's a mess, right? You have to find a way to enjoy your work some way. Like for me, if I'm having coffee, I'm going to enjoy the cup of coffee. Like how my father says, give thanks when you're eating. Wherever I can find time to talk nonsense, I'll do it. Whether it be with a customer, I'll joke around and all that. I'll try and find some way to enjoy the day, in any small way. It's like you have to look at your life, because also sometimes what we do is when we think that happiness is a destination, we work and we push to get there, and then life passes us by. So we have to say, okay, if I've got a few minutes, even if you're busy on the weekend or whatever with work, it's like life, you just have to adjust your life. You can't say, if you have a moment to do something, go and do something, whether it be by yourself or with people, because sometimes we say, well, we check who's available, and then we don't do anything because everyone's busy. So you have to be flexible with life and say, if I've got a minute, if it means just walking on the beach, you need to just find a way to be happy in any small moment, in the pockets that life gives you. You can't be rigid and say, well, only on a Saturday I'm going to do this or that or whatever. You have to be flexible with life. The more rigid you are with life, the more life will break you, because you just have to be flexible with life. Okay, another thing is that we are not, I'll show you in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 to 7. So here's how Satan twists things for us to be miserable. So in Genesis chapter 1, right, 26 to 7, and then God said, let us make man in our image according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the sky, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female, he created them. Okay. Like you'll notice, it talks about them having dominion over everything except each other. We are designed to have dominion over the earth in its entirety, but not each other. And what Satan does is everywhere you look, it talks about being a boss. Boss babe, boss this, boss that. And the Bible never says anything about being a boss because we were never designed to dominate each other. Yes, there is a hierarchy, there is a chain of command that's necessary in any system. So like even in heaven there's hierarchy. You look at the archangels, right? You got Michael. Michael's in charge of the warrior class. You got Gabriel in charge of the messengers. You got the seraphim, you got the cherubims. All of them, there has to be a hierarchy, right? They all have roles to do. But we are not designed to dominate each other, and the world tells us that you need to dominate the people around you, right? There's always this boss story. And the Bible always talks about servant leadership, right? It talks about leading because leading is you leading with people. We are meant to dominate in the areas of our gifting where everyone works and dominates their gift, and together we achieve success. So there's the human spirit is not meant to be dominated, and that is why everyone's boss is an idiot in their eyes. Everyone feels the boss is an idiot. Where's Jaden? Except you. But because the moment we feel dominated, we have this thing, and if you look at it, people don't leave, but they leave jobs because of feeling dominated by the boss. You have to understand it's about leadership. Now, the only way you can fix this is in your heart, you have to tell yourself that I am free, right? You have to say that, yes, I work here, but I am free. The only way to deal with it is you say that I'm not dominated by you. I am my own business and I am rendering a service to you. You are my client and I am here to ensure that you are happy, right? That's the only way you have to look at it. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable. So, in our minds, that's one of the ways we deal with it. Okay, now dealing with the body. Another way that Satan, and it kind of ties hand in hand with this idea of you will be happy when you reach a certain destination. So they say, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Or you say, like hustlers don't sleep, they nap. Absolute nonsense. It's you have to, where are you going? It's like if everything you do is meaningless and all, it's like, where are you going? So if you don't service your body is like a vehicle. If you don't service it, it's going to break down, right? You're going to get sick. If you don't sleep, you're going to be crabby. Recently, I tried to make some adjustments with myself. So I was eating more salads. And I was so moody the whole week. And I had no idea. I'm like, why is the salad making me angry? Right, and then I found out that carbs, you have to have carbs in order to feel happy. It's a part of the thing. I didn't know that. Apparently, it's common knowledge. I had no idea. And I'm up the whole week. I'm moody. Now, the thing is, you have to service your body and give it what it needs. You need to sleep, right? Okay, so for instance, right, let's look at 1 Kings, chapter 19, 4-8. Then Elijah left his servant in Bathsheba and walked for a whole day into the desert. Then he sat down under a bush and asked to die. He said, I have had enough, Lord. Take my life. I am no better than my ancestors. Then Elijah lay down under the bush and went to sleep. An angel came to him and touched him. The angel said, get up and eat. Elijah looked around, and by his head there was a cake that had been baked over coals and a jar of water. He ate and drank, and then he went back to sleep. Later, the Lord's angel came to him again, touched him and said, get up and eat. If you don't, you will not be strong enough to make the long trip. So Elijah got up, he ate and drank and felt strong. You have to deal with your mind, you have to deal with your body. It's not about napping. In terms of sleep, so the way God designed everything, right? He designed it for us to work during the day and to be asleep at night. So in our bodies, we have, in this case, it's a process where your body knows that daytime I have to be awake. That's it, circadian rhythm, right? That's the one, right? You designed for that. Now with us, we created light bulbs, we have screens that we're watching. The blue light affects us, that's why we have trouble sleeping. So you need to understand that you have to, and plus, when you are awake, your body is in a catabolic state. It's through moving around, it's breaking down, and when you sleep, it goes into an anabolic state where it restores itself and repairs everything. Now, if you are napping, you are not giving your body enough time to fully recover. It's going to break down. Okay, so, and you are going to be miserable if you don't sleep properly. I know if I don't sleep, I'm a totally different person. If I don't get If I get less than 4 hours, it's game over next day. Like everything's gonna upset me. So like happiness, right? You have to look at what your body requires. Okay. The next thing about the body is we have to understand our biology. We have to live with understanding of ourselves as well as for each other. In 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7, it says, in the same way, okay, this is defined to husbands, but it'll applies to everybody really, right? In the same way, you husbands should live with your wives in an understanding way, since they are weaker than you. You should show them respect. Show them respect because God gives them the same blessing He gives you, right? The grace of true life. Do this so that nothing will stop your praise from being heard. So, in life, in dealing with your spouse, in dealing with others, it's important to have understanding of how people, of what makes people tick, how God designed us. For instance, right, if you think about shopping specifically, a husband and wife will go shopping and he'll say, we've been shopping for hours and you have bought nothing. The reason for that is because men are results driven and women are experience driven. For a man, if he's doing something, it's about the result. If I'm going shopping, I'm going to make a purchase. For women, primarily, it's going to be about the experience, about choosing, looking at things and all that stuff, right? That's just the way we design because with women, it's about the interpersonal relationships and with men, it's about results. The other thing is that when a man is stressed, he switches off. That's why we vegetate in front of the TV. For the most part, Mark Ganga refers to it as the nothing box. It's the way we de-stress. That is why a man can do things like fishing. You go and stare at the ocean. Right? He just needs to switch off, right? And women, on the other hand, when they are stressed, they need to talk it out. So we have to understand that. Right, we have to understand how that works. Now, another important thing about men is that, okay, for women, it's about the interpersonal relationships. Even when you watch TV, if you look at a guy's show, he's fighting a bad guy, he's doing something like that. There is an end result to things. If you, like things like Gilmore Girls and it's just there's no point to it. It's kind of just like it's about the relationships, right? It's just how we are built. Men need something to conquer at all times. That is, if you don't have that, it's linked to your happiness. That is why men like sport. If it's not sport, it's going to be something. It's going to be games. It's going to be some way, shape, or form that they can conquer. That is so. Even with sport, with your team, even though you are not playing, you say we won. It's because we designed for that. We designed in that manner. So men have to conquer. That is why you can't say to a man, "It's okay as long as you had fun." If he's playing a game, that's not how it works. You have to win. Okay, so it's important to understand that when we're dealing with the opposite sex, when we're understanding ourselves, and there's other aspects to really look at, but I'm not going to get into that now because this is the main one. Another thing that makes us miserable is this concept, and this is a Western concept, this idea of your dream job. And we think and for me it was that IT scenario where I thought, okay, the reason why I'm unhappy is because I'm not in my dream job, so to speak, is what I thought at that time. So I'm just going to explain how this works. First, there's our job, is what the world requires, right? It's your work. Your work is your spiritual gift, okay? And then there's your talent. Your talent is something that's given to you genetically. So if you have the gift of singing, you have the gift of drawing, you've got the gift of cooking or baking, even those things, right? So it's genetically given through your bloodline. Your work is your spiritual gift, okay? So in terms of your work, that would be the gift of an apostolic gift, that's a gift of innovation. A prophetic gift, that's a gift of administration. Evangelist, that's sales. The pastoral, right, that's care, right, for others. And then teaching, okay? So that is your spiritual gifts. Now, God didn't the way he worked it out is that, so we think that like what we love is our talent, right? So we think, okay, and you hear like millionaires, billionaires, they'll make statements like, if you do what you love, then you'll be successful. But what they're not telling you is whatever they did was at scale. That is why they made money. So then you think, okay, my talent, right? Okay, I love baking. In order for me to be happy, I need to bake. In this example, you can either bake at home, right, as a small business, right, and then make finite money because it's only you, or you work for a company that is in that field. But the problem is you end up working in a silo. So you can like baking, but then you can be involved only in mixing or icing, right, because they have to compartmentalize things. For businesses, they have to compartmentalize things. So, like for instance, if you love baking, you get into that business. At the base level is the product, right? And you think, I'll be happy if I bake. So then you say, and then you get in there, but that's the base level. The problem with every organization is that the further up you go, and you have to progress in your career, you will be further away from the thing that you think you love in all things. So it's not about your talent, right? It's not if I do what I love, I will be successful. It's about the application of your gift, not your talent, right? Your spiritual gift. And God designed it so that when you activate your spiritual gift, and the church only talks about it in terms of here in the church, but really your gift is for the whole world, because the world is a system. It's meant to, your gift applies to every workplace. Wherever you are, you can be happy if you apply your gift. Like for instance, so I'm in clearing and forwarding. It's an administrative gift. So my father can do, he likes paperwork. He can do paperwork the whole day and be happy, right? Because that's his gifting. He's got a prophetic gift. I don't have a prophetic gift, so I get exhausted with paperwork. I get really tired. Like I know when we first started, I would just be, at the end of the day, I'm done. I'm finished. And I noticed that when I applied my gift, which is an apostolic gift, right? Like for instance, I created a training website, and then I put videos of how to do the administrative tasks. In the process of building that, I found that I worked on it the whole day. At 9 o'clock, I was still fresh. Like how my father is fresh doing administrative work. Because in your gifting, there's joy that comes from there, right? It's because we designed for it. So it's important to say, okay, you get hired by a company for a task, right? You can do the task, you can get better at it, it'll be easier, but you need to find ways to apply your spiritual gift, because that's where your happiness is going to come from. So you need to think of it this way. You need to see yourself as a tree. That's the best way to understand yourself. In Genesis chapter 1 verse 28 it says, and God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply. Right? The key point there is be fruitful. So we assume fruitful and multiply is the same thing. It's referring to kids. Right? It's not. Multiply is referring to reproduction. Fruitful is in reference to your gift. So whatever your spiritual gifting is, that is what you need to be fruitful with in all aspects of your life, whether it be in your personal life or at work or wherever the case is. Okay, so it's important now. And the thing is that Satan tells us that happiness is derived from consumption. Through our lifestyle, we'll be happy. If only I could travel, then I'll be happy. Or when I travel. So people, it's like, okay, traveling is fun. So if you travel, then you think, okay, if I could do this all the time, I'll be happy. No, you won't, because you are not designed for it. Right? You are designed to be fruitful after your spiritual gift. So it can be travel, or have you noticed when you watch a series, when the series ends, for a brief moment you feel empty? Have you noticed that? Right. The reason for that is because, and we tend to lean towards consumption because there's this consumer mindset. So we lean towards consumption, and we kind of try and numb ourselves. Whenever we are unhappy, you find that you'll gravitate towards TV, or you try to switch off. Okay, yes, there's a de-stressing thing with men, right, which is fine, but if you find that you are doing it too much, and then you find that there's guilt thereafter, right, you felt you could have done something else, then it's because you're trying to numb yourself, right, with the pain of because you are feeling unfulfilled in what you're doing, because yes, you're doing your job, yes, you're making money, so your job is meant to feed your belly. Your spiritual gift is meant to feed your soul. And when you're not feeding your soul, you're going to be unhappy. You're going to feel that difference. So you have to find ways to operate in the fivefold ministry in terms of every aspect of your life. That is how you, the main thing in feeling happy is through that. Right, lastly, okay, just to go through it, right, happiness is a decision, it's not a destination, right? You have to choose to be happy. You cannot be dominated, right? It's not within us, and in your heart you have to be free. You have to find ways, to convince yourself of that. You need to sleep, you need to eat properly, you need to manage your body so that your body remains healthy and happy. In dealing with others, you have to live with understanding with them. So, for instance, if your husband wants to go fishing, allow him to go fishing, or whatever the case may be, right? You need to understand. Oh, and vice versa. If your wife needs to talk, right, you need to listen. So, and you need to find ways to operate in your gift, right? In your spiritual gift is not. Yes, there's your talent, and your talent can be applied to things, but your talent is far more specific. You need to. Your spiritual gift can be actually applied to anything. Last thing is you can't be happy all the time. You can't be happy 100% of the time because there'll be seasons in your life. If you've got a newborn, sleep is going to escape you. So whatever season you're in, you need to understand that you have to make adjustments. It's a conscious thing. Sometimes work can be crazy and you don't have time to really tap into your gift, at work. You just need to find ways to find that balance. Right. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us as we equipped, prepared, and edified ourselves for the week ahead. As you go into the world, may the Lord bless you, protect you, look on you with favor, and keep you. Until next time, God bless.